what we're talking about here is the templates, importing session data, and keyboard focus mode. And first of all, Pro Tools templates, what are they for? What are templates for? Templates are to make your setup quicker. So if you're making house music and you always use the same kick and snare, hi-hat to get ideas and maybe same bass line or whatever, then you want to make a template for that stuff so you don't have to keep doing the same exact thing every time. Good like house music would have like drums and like a bass, and you might change that stuff later, but just to kind of get going when you have an idea and you just want to get rolling really quick, you just have that stuff set up. Trap, same thing. Trap music, basically the foundation is always the same. 808 bass, you've got the kick, the snare, the hi-hat. These samples don't really change that much. They've kind of been baked into our psyche at this point. And if you're recording, if you are in a studio and you're always recording the same drum kit at the same, always the same drum kit, and you've got your mics that you have set up for it, and you've got some good effects on it, and you know how many tracks you're going to record, then you want to set up a template for that. And the template can have audio, plugins, aux tracks, MIDI tracks, instruments, I/O settings. This can all be set as your template. When should we create templates? Multiple sessions with the same musicians. If you're recording a bunch of sessions with the same musicians, set up a template so you can always that's one less thing you have to worry about. Drums, it's a big deal for drums. Track inputs, subgroup routing, plugins on tracks. I would recommend deactivating the plugins during recording so the drummer doesn't hear with their plugins, but it depends on how some drummers, a lot of them don't even need to hear with through their headphones anyway. Genre-specific productions like trap, house music, stuff like that. Utility tasks, for example, creating samples or DJ mixes, things like that. And templates are something that you should set up for every DAW that you use, not just Pro Tools. This is I'm just going to show you how to do it in Pro Tools, but I recommend that you set this stuff up in any DAW that you use all the time. So, how do we create a template? Open a blank session, add the tracks you want to use, insert the instruments, insert effects plugins, set up your routing, subgroup mix, set up Pro Tools groups, do file, save as template. It's that easy. It's really not a hard thing to do. So let's just show here for a second real quick. I'm going to go ahead and save this automation. We'll come back to this one here. Let me get rid of this sci-fi plugin though. There we go. Yeah. You may have seen this pop up on my screen before. The plugin contains automation data. Removing the plugin will delete this automation data. If you want to delete the plugin, just hit remove, and it's just basically warning you that you have automation on the track. All right, so I've got this session here. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to make a new session. And one thing is, if I wanted to create from a template, Pro Tools comes with a bunch of templates already. So I've got some in here from me, Tony Templates. But there's also like guitar templates for recording guitars, miscellaneous, music production, record a mix, songwriter stuff, and then live sound stuff. So depending on what you want to do with it, there's already some templates in here that you can explore and try yourself, but really the main value of templates comes from setting your own up, not from using other people's templates. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to create from here. I'm going to go to Untitled. I'm just going to call this new, I'm going to call this one drum recording. And the sample rate we'll set to 44.1, bit depth 24-bit, I/O settings, stereo mix, interleaved, sure. All right, so drum recording, boom. Now what I'll do is I'll say, okay, how many drum tracks am I going to have, or how much, and this is usually something you would do after you've already set up your kit and you think that that's what you want to do, but let's say 6 tracks, 6 mono tracks. So I go in here and we'll name these bass drum and snare drum and hi-hat and tom 1, tom 2, and then floor tom, like that. And then let's make a stereo track for my overheads, or actually no, let's make 2 more tracks, and this will be for my overhead left, my overhead right. Now I've made 2 tracks here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a stereo aux track, make 2 of these, overhead group, and this one here will be my drum group. we talked a little bit about, you know, making aux track subgroup routing and stuff like that. We're going to talk more about it in a few days. But here we go, bass drum, snare drum, hi-hat, tom 1, tom 2, floor tom, overhead left, overhead right. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set these overheads to go into this right here. And this has got a weird, hold on a second, let's just do this. It's got a weird naming. There's like some weird names going on. So I'm just going to go to my setup IO and change my default settings here. Oh, I know why. Hold on, let's change this name. I don't like that. Main left right is more what I want. Oh, okay, main left right, boom. Yep. All right, cool. So hit OK. And now I'll put all these to the main left and right. There we go. Okay, so these ones here, I'm going to send them to my overhead group. Let me also put a master fader in here. There we go. These two here, I'm going to send them to my overhead group track. Boom. And then all these tracks here, plus the overhead group track, I'm going to send them to my drum group. Awesome. Solo safe these. Let's put a reverb in here as well. We'll probably want a reverb. And we'll send over like kick and snare and stuff like that to my reverb. Give it a little bit of juice. Cool. Let me just copy this over and we can make adjustments later. I'm just holding down Option to drag these over. And then my overheads, we'll put these, yeah, let's send those to the reverb as well. Boom. And I'm just kind of giving a little bit of like send amount, but not everything. I'm gonna go ahead and put my reverb on here. And I'm just gonna use the deverb here that comes with Pro Tools. There we go. All right, so this is a good little setup here. Let me maybe put a little compression on my drums as a whole, just because that's something that I usually do. Put that BF76 here. And I'm not going to make any settings to that. Oh, well, here, I'll make a little bit of settings here and just set this up a little bit, maybe like that, whatever. Okay, so now I'm ready to go. Like this is like a good little setup. And I may want to put some plugins on here as well. So maybe like on the kick drum, put like a little EQ, and the snare drum, maybe the same thing. Put a little low, high pass rather. Set that down like that. And put the snare drum over here. Snare drum maybe cut out a little bit more on the low end there. And the hi-hat, maybe same thing. And we could put a compressor on these as well, so I'll just go ahead and do that. I'll just use a preset here, kick tight. And this one here, we'll use a snare drum preset. And obviously I'd go through and set these up a little bit more, you know, I'd spend a little bit more time on these. Like after I've recorded something, I'd dial these in. But I'm just giving you kind of an overview of stuff, and let's put a compressor on the, well, what do I have? I got a compressor here. Okay, I think this is good enough for now. So what I can do is I've got this set up here. I'm ready to go. It's all set up. It's ready to record. So I'm going to set this to 1 bar grid. Oh, let's put a metronome in here as well. Create click track. Here's my click. Put this up at the top. And I'll make it small because I don't really need it to be really big. There we go. So I've got my click track there. I've got all my tracks here. So we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and save this as a regular file. And I'm going to go over here to File and go to Save as Template right there. Save as Template. And then I'm going to put it in my Tony templates here. I'm going to do drum, setup, whatever. And now this button here, include media, this is if you have like some audio data or something in there that you always want to load up. And this would be useful for if you're making house music or like some trap or something like that. And you have like a hip hop, you have a hi-hat line that you want to use all the time, or like a shaker or something that helps you just get your groove a little bit better than a regular metronome. Then you can use that. So you can always have that data come in there, that clip. But I don't have anything like that, so I'm not going to include anything. I'm going to hit OK. And now it just saved it as a template. So I'm going to close it out and go to Open, Create New. And now Create from Template. And the one I just made is right here, Drum Setup. Okay. And I set this stuff here. Let's use stereo mix 44.1. Actually, let's use last used because I know I don't have to change anything. Hit Drum Setup. And it's going to open it up, and it's going to say, oh, could you blah, 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 blah. That's fine. I don't need to hear about that. And there we go. Everything is set up the way it was. So if I'm ready to go. All the things I just did are here. So this is why templates are so, so great. Cool. I'm going to stop this recording here.